Welcome, everybody. I'm Lane Levanway, and you know what time it is. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about Constantine, Episode 12, Angels and Ministers of Grace. Alright, here we are, Constantine, Episode 12. We are one episode away. The next episode, Episode 13, is the season finale, and we're done. And then we have to wait and hope, and fingers crossed, and hashtag, and that Constantine will get renewed. But Episode 12, now, you can tune in every week to see my top 5 moments from the Constantine episode. So be aware this is not a review of the episode, it's just my personal top 5 moments from this episode, and I do it each week. Now, to say that it's not a review, but I do want to say that this episode for me was much better than last week. Last week I kind of was like, okay, I kind of like this moment, but there weren't a lot of moments that blew my mind. But in this episode, I was taking all kinds of notes. I was like, oh, I'm going to have to pare down these moments. There was just lots of good things, big things, small things, lots of great moments that I really liked. And so in this episode, we've got John wants Manny's help because Zed has a seizure. And so he like traps him in the human body so that he gets like, well, I need help, and so you're my guy. And Manny is sending John originally to the hospital because there's a body there that's got these like black veins, and it's something to do with the rising darkness, and we got to figure out what it was. And so you get John and Manny working together this time, and it was pretty cool. So let's just get right to it. My top 5. Number 1. Okay, so my number 1 is we're near the beginning of the episode, and we're in the house that they use, and Manny basically takes over Chaz, and the map, their scry map, hasn't been working lately, and so Manny has to tell John about this body, this girl with the black veins, and he's like, well, what about the scry map? And Manny's like, map goes up in flames, and John's pissed, and he's trying to put it out to save the map, and Manny's reaction is just like, that map is a crutch. We have something much bigger happening, the rising darkness, the brouhaha, whatever, you need to get out there and use your instincts and search and use Zed's visions, and we have to find this, and we have to stop it. And that's all there is to it. And then when he leaves, Chaz is like, how did I get over here? Because he'd moved across the room, and he's like, it's Manny, wasn't it? I hate being used. I just love that. I just love that interaction in that part right there. It was really good. Number 2. Okay, so number 2 is gonna be sort of similar to a few of the next numbers. They're these all episode encompassing moments or things happening, but I'm really gonna have to give it up to Matt Ryan and Constantine's like emotions and feelings in this episode, because he's trying to track this body, but Zed goes into a seizure, and they find out there's like a lump on her temporal lobe. It could be is it an active tumor or not? They need to do a biopsy. They don't know, but he doesn't really want to go visit her. He starts sort of like ignoring her, and he's really focusing on the case. Now, granted, there are people dying. It's an important case, but he's almost using it like a way to avoid having to talk to Zed or see Zed. And you've got Chaz is like, if you've seen her, what's going on? You need to talk to her. You need to see her. Go to her room. Visit with her. Manny's like, John, you need to go talk to her. She's going through a lot right now. You just need to be there for her. He's having a hard time. He doesn't want to, he's confront those emotions. And he has a great moment at the end where they're in this church and she's praying, and he just goes, I want to tell you something I've never told anyone, but every morning when I wake up, I spend the first 5 minutes contemplating and meditating about the deaths of the people close to me. That way, when it inevitably happens, it's not so much of a blow. And she smiles, and she's just like, oh, I guess, am I on that list now? Like, he does really care about her, and it's just hard for him because he doesn't want to lose her. And so just was great, all kinds of moments throughout the episode as he gets angry at Manny because he wants Manny to fix her and cure her, and he's so angry that, you need to do this. It's my fault she's got this tumor because I'm the one who's told her to work through the pain and use her magic, and look what's happened. It's my fault. And that was an especially intense moment between Manny and John just like so angry at Manny, wanting him to save her and help her and feeling the guilt. So my number 2 is just like all of that with John throughout the episode. Number 3. Okay, so number 3 goes along with number 2, but this time it's Harold Perrineau. I don't remember how to pronounce his name, Perinu, as Manny. Manny throughout this episode is amazing. This is a huge Manny episode. He's pretty much in the whole thing, because in that moment of John's anger from number 2, when Manny's like, you're just going to have to do this and focus on things you can control, you can't control. John knows a spell to like trap Manny in the human body. So he does, because he's like, well, I don't have her now. I need boots on the ground. You're boots now. And so you get all these great moments, because as Manny's, he explains that when he's in a human host, he's cut off from like the information of heaven. He can't use his angelic powers. And so that's why he doesn't stay in human bodies long. And he doesn't look like Manny. He looks like the human host that he's possessing. But you get to see, as he is experiencing, different emotions and feelings, and of course the doctor he's inhabiting just happens to be having an affair or a romance with a nurse, and so that nurse ends up pulling him in, and she's like, time for sex. The only thing that's gotten me through this day is you, and she's groping him and kissing him, and he's like, wait, we're gonna do this right now? And she's like, and she just like, you see her go down off camera, and she's going down, and he's like, right now, so good. And then he has a great moment with John later around that scene where John's like, are you wearing perfume? Oh, and he starts laughing, and what you were doing, I don't think it's a sin, but I wasn't there when the rules were created, that you're bringing this brief moment of happiness to these two people. And then, he's like, I know it's hard with all these emotions and chemicals and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I don't know how you get any work done. And that was in the preview, but it still was great. But you also get Manny feeling pain. You get Manny involved in sex, and you just get to see a more emotional side of Manny, a more human side of Manny, where he seems to care. He visits Zed in the hospital, and he talks to her, and he has this really nice moment with her, and then again at the end he has a talk with her, and he's got these really sweet moments with her, where he's encouraging her and sort of there for her, and that was just great. I loved watching this thing of Manny where he gets to be the helper now. He's forced to be a helper, and I just loved it. Number 4. Okay, number 4 is more Manny stuff, because it was packed with Manny. But now, this is a big deal. Zed can now see Manny. She's now roped in, because up to this point, John's been the only one. Even Chaz doesn't see Manny. But in the hospital, when he comes to talk to her, she can see that he's not the doctor. And so he tells her who she is. I'm Manny. And so she knows Manny. John talks about Manny before, but now she has this, she wants to know if her powers are from God, or are they a curse, or the devil, or is the tumor a punishment? And then at the end, when they're in the church and Manny just appears, so he doesn't appear in a human host, he just sort of becomes visible. John's like, oh, Manny's here. And she's like, I know. And she can see. And then they have this sweet discussion about, again, where she's like, so are these from God, or is it evil? And he's like, I'm here, aren't I? And she's deciding not to have her brain checked out. She's going to work through the pain, because she can use these powers for good, and she's got to use them. And but now that's a game changer, now that she's sort of roped in to that team of Manny and the link to heaven, now that she has through him. Number 5. Okay, so number 5, it's Manny again. I love Manny. But it's so great. And you get to see Manny in full angel mode. Zed was having this vision of this like angelic light, and at the end they're dealing with the heart of darkness, which was like an ancient sorcerer back in the olden days, and he amassed this great power, and he was killing people, and people were pleading to God, and finally God, the angelic light, came down and destroyed him, and then they took the heart of darkness, and it was broken up, and then he flooded the earth to spread these shards all around. But of course, inside Jasper's mansion, he has a shard, and so they can use the shard. There's a great moment with Chaz being the guinea pig to find out what happens when humans hold the shard. He like hulked out, super strength, super rage. And so when they're fighting the bad guy who's got the shard, it's actually it's shrapnel from the war, and a piece got lodged next to his heart, and so it's in him. But it turns out John, the spell he cast on Manny, he said he has to wait for the spell to wear off. But he didn't have to wait for the spell off. He could reverse it. And she realizes in her vision was that the angelic light is Manny. So as the monster's coming to get them, he's all roided up. Gonna get them. And then so John has to release Manny from the host, and Manny disappears. He's like, mate, if this is any of it, please, this has to be the time. And then Manny appears, boom, like the bright light, full wings, like up close, not the wings from a distance, like full on, boom. And he gets the attention of the doctor, who had the thing. He's like, come here, your time's up. You've served well. You've done it. Come on, because the light can destroy like, it's only angelic light's all that can do it. And so he brings him in and he wraps him up. He's not like, now I smite thee down, blah. You know, he's just loving. He's like, come on, now it's your time. It's time to leave. And he just surrounds him with his wings and the light, pew, and the guy, they both disappear, and then like the shards break. But the shards are attracting each other like magnet. And John was using their shard in a box, so he didn't have to touch it, but he was using the shard to try to track the guy down. And so those shards, so basically like John now has 2 shards. So if the show gets, I don't know if this will play in the next episode, but if the show gets renewed, this Heart of Darkness thing can be an ongoing theme, as someone else might be trying to gather Hearts of Darkness. And here's John, you know, has 2, and he might start to gather other shards of the Heart of Darkness. It can certainly stretch into further moments, but the whole thing, you know, I mean, there were a lot of other moments with, like I mentioned, the Chaz hulking out. That could have been a separate moment. And the whole bad guy at the end, that scene, there were a lot of moments, but I really, really liked all the interactions with Zed and Manny and John. All of that was just really good, and it was hard for me to narrow it down. All right, so that was Constantine, episode 12. Once again, we only have one more week, so make sure you stay tuned with me next week to see my top moments from the final episode, and let's hope, hashtag save Constantine, that we can keep this show alive, that the ratings keep going up, and that we get a season 2, even if it's only 13 episodes. We just need to get a season 2. We got to see Matt Ryan back. We want Constantine, Chaz, and Zed, and Manny. We want all these people back, and we want to see where this thing goes. Now, again, every week I'm doing the Constantine episodes. Of course, right now that only means one more week. But you know what? If you subscribe, you will be alerted in your feed when that video comes up. Plus, you get to see my movie reviews and psych flicks on the channel, where we review and analyze characters from movies, you know, from a psychological standpoint, and let you better understand them so that you know why you might love or hate them. And so there's lots of good stuff. So definitely subscribe. And I'd like you to leave a comment below what you think of my top 5. Do you agree with it, or do you have your own top 5? Because this one, I love this episode. Let's talk about it. That's why it's fun to do this, so that we can talk about it in the comments below. But that's all the time we have now, guys. Thank you for watching. And until next time, watch more TV.